Let's start with a harsh truth most men don't want to hear. If a woman is ignoring you, distancing herself from you, or suddenly acting cold, it's almost never by accident. It's calculated, it's intentional, and yes, it hurts. But here's the thing, she's not confused. She knows exactly what she's doing. This video isn't about blaming women. It's not about making you the victim. This is about giving you clarity as a man, and more importantly, giving you your power back. Because the way you respond in this moment, it will define your entire self-worth. A lot of men panic when a woman pulls away. They text more. They apologize for things they didn't even do. They try to be understanding while getting emotionally played. They turn into something they swore they'd never become needy. Why? Because we've been trained to believe that chasing is noble, that if you just show her how much you care, she'll magically snap back and love you again. False. You want to know what she respects? A man who doesn't beg, a man who sees the signs for what they are and acts with backbone, not desperation. Here's a truth that might sting. A woman will test your value by disappearing. She'll pull away just to see what you'll do. Will you chase like a lost puppy? Or will you stand firm like a man with options? Now I know what you're thinking. What if she's just busy? What if she's going through something? What if I'm overthinking it? And sure, sometimes life gets in the way. But let me ask you this. Did she used to respond fast? Did she used to initiate conversations? Did she used to make time for you? Then suddenly it changed. That's not coincidence. That's a shift in energy. And women are emotional creatures. When their feelings change, their behavior follows. Period. But most men ignore this shift. They cling harder. They become available 24/7. They offer space in a passive-aggressive way. They write paragraphs, ask questions like, did I do something wrong? And each time they do that, they're digging a deeper hole. Listen carefully. The moment you chase after someone who's pulling away, you confirm her belief that she's the prize and you're the option. And once she sees that, you're done. Now, this doesn't mean you need to be cold. It doesn't mean you need to play mind games. It means you need to understand the psychology behind distance and respond like a man who knows his worth. You see, when a woman distances herself, it's often for one of three reasons. She's lost attraction. She's testing your reaction. She's already replaced you emotionally. Let that sink in. The worst part, most men never find out which one it is because they react emotionally instead of strategically. They let their fear take over. They start fantasizing about the version of her that existed in the past instead of accepting the version of her that's right in front of them now. But here's the twist. You can flip the script. You can actually use her distance to build more attraction. You can come out of this stronger, more centered, and more respected than before, but only if you stop acting from fear and start acting from clarity. Because this moment, this cold silence from her, this awkward energy, this is a gift. It's a mirror showing you exactly where your self-esteem really stands. You want her attention back. You want to rebuild attraction. You want her wondering, why isn't he chasing me? Then stop chasing. Let her feel your absence. Let her sit in the silence she created. Let her wonder. Because when you stop reacting, when you step back with quiet strength instead of loud desperation, that's when the dynamic shifts. That's when you become the man she notices again. That's when she feels your presence in your absence. But more importantly, that's when you become someone you respect again. This video isn't about manipulation. It's about self-mastery. It's about knowing that you are not here to convince anyone of your value. You're here to remember it. So, let's break this down. In the next 5 sections, I'm going to show you exactly what to do when a woman pulls away, what to say, what not to say, how to control your energy, when to walk away, and how to regain control of the situation without chasing. Because from this moment on, you're not reacting emotionally, you're moving strategically with your head up and your standards higher. And if you stay with me, by the end of this video, you'll no longer feel powerless in these moments. You'll know exactly what to do when a woman distances herself, and you'll never beg for attention again. Let's get into it. 1, stop texting her first. Completely let her feel the silence she created. This is where most men ruin everything. She pulls away, stops texting as much, replies late or doesn't reply at all. And what do? You text her first again and again. You try to keep the connection alive, trying to say something funny, nice, or thoughtful, hoping she'll finally respond like she used to. But let's get brutally honest for a second. If she wanted to talk to you, she would. It's really that simple. Texting her first, especially after she starts acting distant, is like running into a closing door, hoping it magically opens, but it won't. And every text you send just makes you look more desperate. Here's what you need to understand. When a woman distances herself, she's looking for confirmation. She wants to see if you'll chase. She wants to see if she still has you wrapped around her finger. And when you text first, you give her that confirmation on a silver platter. You're basically saying, hey, I know you're ignoring me and acting cold, but I still need your attention. I'll be here waiting. That's not attractive, that's predictable. Now let's flip the dynamic. What happens when you stop texting her completely? Suddenly the power shifts. Suddenly you're not doing what 99% of men do. Suddenly she starts to wonder, wait, why isn't he checking in? Why hasn't he said good morning? Did he move on? And that's when curiosity turns into concern, because whether she admits it or not, your silence is louder than any text message. Men who understand this don't need to beg. They don't try to force conversations. They don't send messages just to see how she's doing. They recognize the game and step out of it completely. Distance should always be met with distance. When she pulls back, you pull back further. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. Now, let's talk about the fear most guys have. What if she forgets about me? What if I lose her for good if I don't reach out? What if she thinks I don't care? Here's the answer. If silence can make her forget you, then she was never really with you to begin with. If you not texting first is enough to end things, then what were you really holding on to? Your job isn't to keep someone around who clearly doesn't value your effort. Your job is to make room for someone who chooses you without you having to beg for it. Let me tell you a story. There was a guy named Sam. He met a girl he really liked. Funny, beautiful, great connection. For a few weeks, everything felt perfect. Constant texting, long calls, even future plans. But then it changed. She started replying slower. One-word answers, no more emojis, no more good morning texts. Sam noticed it, but he didn't want to lose her, so he started texting more. How's your day? I miss you. Hope everything's okay. She would reply eventually, but cold, dry, emotionless. One day, he sent her a long message pouring out how he felt, and she left him on read. That was his wake-up call. Instead of sending another message, he stopped. Cold turkey. No more texts, no likes on her posts, nothing. The first week, silence. Second week, she viewed every story he posted. Third week, she texted, hey, you've been quiet lately. But by then, something had changed. Sam realized he didn't need her attention to feel valuable anymore. He stopped chasing women who made him feel invisible. And guess what? The moment he stopped texting first, she started texting him often. But now he was different. Confident, detached, free. That's the point. You're not playing games. You're regaining control of your peace. You don't owe anyone access to your energy, especially someone who acts like you don't matter. So the next time you feel the urge to text her first, don't. Let the silence speak. If she comes back with effort, energy, and consistency, then maybe there's something worth rebuilding. But if she doesn't, then you just avoided months of emotional confusion and slow rejection. Either way, you win because real men don't beg. They observe, they move accordingly, and they only match effort, not feelings. So stop texting her first, not because you're trying to make her miss you, but because you respect yourself enough to walk away when the energy shifts. She'll notice. She'll feel it, and whether she responds or not, you'll be in control again. 2, never ask her what's wrong. It makes you look weak and clueless. Let's be blunt. The moment you ask a woman what's wrong after she starts acting cold, distant, or emotionally unavailable, you've already lost ground. Why? Because asking that question tells her you're not leading, you're following. It tells her you notice the shift, but you don't know what to do. You're confused, insecure, and craving her reassurance. And worst of all, it tells her she's in control of the emotional dynamic. That's not attractive. That's not strong. That's not what high V value men do. Now, before you react, let's be clear. It's not wrong to care. It's not wrong to check in. But there's a huge difference between checking in like a man and seeking validation like a boy. When you ask a woman, is something wrong? You're trying to get answers that she doesn't want to give you. And guess what? If a woman wants to talk to you, she will. She won't wait for you to pull the truth out of her. She won't make you feel like you're walking on eggshells, trying to decode her mood like some emotional detective. But when she's distant and you start begging for answers, you just end up looking like you don't understand the game at all. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say. Women often use silence and emotional withdrawal as a form of control. Not always consciously, but it happens. They want you to notice the shift. They want you to wonder. They want you to feel uncertain. And when you ask what's wrong, you've already taken the bait. You've already stepped into the frame she created where you're reacting and she's leading. Now, this doesn't mean you become cold or emotionally unavailable yourself. It means you stop rewarding unclear behavior with clear attention. Let her bring the issue to the table. Let her speak when she's ready. Let her feel the consequences of creating emotional distance. Because here's something most men don't realize. Asking what's wrong won't fix the problem. It only magnifies it. Why? Because even if she tells you the truth, it rarely leads anywhere good. She might say, "I just need space. I'm not feeling the same way. I'm confused." And then what? You'll start negotiating, trying to make it work, convincing her to feel differently. That's not power, that's begging. Now, let's talk real life. There was a guy, let's call him Tony. He was seeing a girl for a few months. Everything was great, calls, dates, energy. Then suddenly she started pulling back. Short replies, delays in texting, no initiative. Tony panicked. He sent her this long message. "Hey, I feel like something's off lately. Is something wrong? Did I do something?" Just want to understand her reply. "I'm just figuring some things out right now. I'll talk to you later." And guess what? She never did. She didn't block him. She didn't explain. She just drifted away quietly, and he never heard from her again. That message, it didn't bring them closer. It confirmed her suspicion. Tony was too emotionally dependent. Now imagine if Tony had done something different. Imagine she pulled away, and instead of chasing answers, he just went quiet. No reaction, no questions, just stillness. That silence would have said everything. She'd start to wonder, why isn't he asking? Why isn't he chasing? Does he even care? That's the power of non-reactivity. That's the strength of a man who values himself first. Here's the truth. You don't owe anyone your emotional energy if they're being vague, distant, or confusing. You're not here to fix moods or decode silence. You're here to live in truth and clarity. So, the next time you feel that urge to text, "Hey, you've been quiet lately. Is something wrong?" Stop. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what would a man with options do right now? Would he chase for answers, or would he go about his life unbothered, self-focused, and emotionally grounded? When you stop asking what's wrong, you stop giving away your power, you stop feeding into the emotional roller coaster, you stop reinforcing the idea that your mood depends on hers. And ironically, that's when women start taking you more seriously. That's when they realize this man doesn't beg for clarity. He demands it by how he moves. So don't ask what's wrong. Observe. Match her energy and protect your peace. Because when you move from a place of quiet strength instead of emotional confusion, you become a man no woman wants to lose. 3. Focus on yourself, not on winning her back. She's watching how you respond without her. Here's a harsh truth that most men need to hear. The moment you make her your goal, you lose yourself. And once you lose yourself, she loses interest fast. When a woman distances herself, a lot of men slip into panic mode. They start overthinking, overanalyzing, and obsessing over one thing. How do I get her back? But let's pause right there. Why is your first reaction to chase someone who pulled away from you? Why is your instinct to prove your worth to someone who just made you feel unwanted? Let's be honest. It's not about love. It's not even about her. It's about your ego. It's about needing to feel chosen again. And that's where you go wrong, because instead of focusing on yourself, you become completely consumed by her absence. You start spiraling, checking her social media, rereading old messages, wondering what you did wrong, waiting for that one notification that never comes. And while you're stuck in that mental loop, she's watching. Yes, she sees the silence. Yes, she notices your reactions or lack of them. And she's subconsciously asking herself, is he going to break down and chase me, or is he going to stay grounded? Most men fail that test. They start sending texts to check in. They start dropping likes and subtle stories just to get attention. They start pretending to be okay while secretly falling apart. But you need to move differently, because this moment, this emotional gap, is where attraction is either destroyed or rebuilt. And here's the truth no one tells you. You don't rebuild attraction by convincing her. You rebuild it by becoming better without her. That means you stop looking for signs. You stop measuring your worth through her responses, and you start asking real questions. How's my mental focus? Am I prioritizing my fitness? Have I been creative lately? What am I building for myself? You start treating your life the way you were treating her, giving it attention, effort, energy, and consistency. Because women don't come back to the guy who begged, they come back to the man who leveled up while they were gone. You want to shift the energy? Stop waiting for her message and start living like it doesn't matter, whether it comes or not. That's not cold. That's clarity. That's not ego. That's respect. And when you begin focusing on yourself, two powerful things happen. You feel stronger. Your mind clears. Your emotions stabilize. You stop depending on external validation to feel okay. She feels the shift. Whether she admits it or not, your emotional detachment hits different. It creates mystery. It builds curiosity. It makes her question her decision. But here's the key. You're not doing it to get her back. You're doing it because it's what you should have been doing all along. So stop letting her distance define your day. Stop treating her silence like a crisis. Stop chasing closure in someone who already told you everything by how she pulled away. Shift the focus from her to you. Because when you focus on yourself, you stop playing emotional games and you start winning real life. 4, don't be nice. Be unavailable. Respect. Attention. Stop being too easy. Let's talk about something most men need to hear, even if it stings a little. Being nice isn't the problem. Being too available is. A lot of men confuse niceness with simplicity. They think that if they're always kind, always responsive, always ready to fix things, then she'll realize how good they are and come running back. Wrong. Because in reality, when a woman starts distancing herself and you respond by showing more attention, more softness, and more effort, you don't look nice. You look weak. You look like a man who doesn't know how to say no. You look like a man who will tolerate anything just to stay close. And that doesn't inspire love. It doesn't inspire attraction. It inspires boredom. Let's be brutally honest. Women don't leave men who respect themselves. They leave men who get too predictable, too needy, too nice. And what does nice usually look like in these situations? You reply instantly every time, even when she delays her response. You cancel plans for her, even though she wouldn't do the same. You tolerate emotional coldness, ghosting, or flakiness, just hoping she'll warm up again. That's not kindness. That's fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of being alone. Fear of not being chosen. Wake up, man. You're not here to be her emotional punching bag. You're not her backup plan. You're not some puppy waiting by the door hoping she comes home. You're a man. And if you want to be treated like one, you need to act like one. And that starts with becoming unavailable. Not fake unavailable, not playing hard to get, but genuinely focused on your time, your energy, and your peace. Because when you're truly unavailable for weak, inconsistent behavior, everything changes. Suddenly you don't reply right away. Not because you're playing games, but because you're actually doing something more important than waiting for her text. Suddenly, you're not canceling your plans for her because you have a life that matters. You're not checking in constantly because you're not obsessed with staying on her radar. And guess what? That's when she starts paying attention again. Not because you forced it, but because you reminded her that your world doesn't revolve around her presence. Men need to stop thinking that being the nice guy means being overly available. Start understanding that mystery creates attraction and standards create respect. It's okay to be kind. It's okay to be genuine. But if your kindness is being used against you, then it's not kindness anymore. It's weakness disguised as love. So here's your challenge. Stop over-explaining. Stop over-offering. Stop being available to people who aren't emotionally available to you. Let her feel your absence. Let her feel the shift. Let her realize what she's actually losing when you stop showing up every time she goes quiet because attention might get her for a moment. But respect, that's what makes her stay. 5. Be ready to walk away for real. No woman is worth losing your self-respect. This is the part most men don't want to hear, but it's the truth you need to accept. Sometimes walking away is the only way to win. When a woman distances herself and ignores you, your first instinct might be to hold on tighter, to do whatever it takes to bring her back. But here's the reality. If she's pulling away, if she's ignoring your efforts, and if she's showing consistent disinterest, then chasing her will only cost you your dignity. No relationship, no connection, no amount of effort is worth losing your self-respect over. You've got to understand your value as a man, and that means knowing when to hold your ground and when to walk away. Walking away doesn't mean giving up. It means you're choosing yourself over uncertainty. It means you're saying, I deserve better than being ignored or taken for granted. Too many men waste months, even years chasing someone who's emotionally unavailable. They sacrifice their happiness, their time, their confidence, all for a woman who doesn't appreciate it. And here's the brutal truth. She won't come running back just because you stayed. Real respect comes from being willing to leave. Because a man who can walk away is a man who owns his power. You don't threaten, you don't beg, you simply show you're not desperate. And when you do that, you create space for something better. Whether that's her realizing what she lost or you finding someone who actually values you. So the question isn't, how do I get her back? It's, am I willing to walk away if I don't get the respect I deserve? If the answer is yes, then you've already won the most important battle. Your peace, your confidence, and your self-respect are priceless. Remember this, no woman should ever have the power to make you feel small. If she distances herself, ignore you, or treats you like an option, be ready to walk away. Not because you want to lose her, but because you value yourself enough to never settle for less. The hard truth. Most men refuse to admit. Here's a controversial truth that might make some uncomfortable, but it's time someone said it. Most men don't lose a woman because she lost interest. They lose her because they gave up their manhood first. Think about that for a second. It's not about how attractive you are. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how much respect you have for yourself when she starts pulling away. When you beg, when you chase, when you become the nice guy who's always available, you're telling her one thing loud and clear. I don't value myself enough to walk away. And that's the real reason she distances herself. Because attraction isn't about chasing. It's about presence, confidence, and the ability to stand your ground. The moment you lose that, you lose everything. Now, I know this isn't easy to hear. I know you might be thinking, but what if she really cares and is just going through something? Or what if I'm overreacting and should try harder? Here's the reality. You don't owe anyone your emotional energy if they're not willing to meet you halfway. And that includes women. If she's pulling away, ignoring you, or acting cold, don't fall into the trap of trying to fix it by chasing her harder. Fix it by fixing yourself. Take control of your worth, show up for your life, live like the man you want to be, whether she's there or not. And here's where I want to hear from you. What's your story? Have you ever been in this situation where a woman distanced herself? How did you react? Did you chase? Did you step back? What worked and what didn't? Drop your experiences in the comments below. I read every single one. I'm here to connect, to share advice, and to help you rise above the confusion and pain. Because this isn't just about relationships, it's about becoming the man who no one can ignore because you refuse to lose yourself. So be honest, be real, tell me what happened when she pulled away, and together we'll figure out how to move forward stronger than ever. Remember, you're not powerless, you're not a victim, you're a man. And a man who respects himself above all else is unstoppable.